Yo, welcome to the show, BroMob. We're your hosts, Chad and Brian. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd, and you know what that means. Our Wednesday show is here. We've got our week eight start and sits, our sleepers, our busts, and our streaming options for the week. Sit back, get ready for a great show because, man, we got a good one coming towards you. Whole lot of news going on in the NFL today. Some fresh off the press type of stuff. Too hot to trap type of stuff. So crazy stuff going on. Teams trying to prepare themselves for the playoffs, prepare themselves for the long haul. I mean, one of those teams included being the Patriots, of course, a team that was already looking like the Super Bowl favorite, just adding more depth to that team. It's unbelievable. Brian, how are we doing, man? Did you end up winning? I don't think you did. You needed way too much out of Patriots defense. Didn't think it did happen for you.
Yeah, it was close. I think I came within 14, I believe.
I think that's
14
what it was.
points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty close and fell short. My first loss of the season in our league of record. And you know what's interesting is I called my first loss to be this week. Or this past week. I knew like weeks ago as I was starting to build this undefeated record, I looked forward and said, this is the week that I'm going to lose. And it was exactly that. But it took a high scorer of the week to put me down. So I'm just going to say that.
I hope that you predicted a second loss back to back because going against me is not going to be an easy task for your team. Let me tell you that right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm gonna pound you in the dirt, dude. Like
I'm going to tell you right now. You don't tell me.
I'll tell you.
No.
It's not going to be good. You're hurt.
It's going to be really good.
No, you're hurting. So
smiling ear to ear. It's going to be a good time.
I can't wait. I can't wait till next week's pod when we come back on and I just hear the sad disappointment in your voice when you realize that not only in fantasy, or I'm sorry, not only in life in general are you failing, like Glenn York would have said, but you're also failing in fantasy because Brian Davidson has pounded you into the ground.
Need I say that Glenn York told both of us that we were failing, so I'm just going to leave that there. Love you, Glenn.
He tells everybody.
If for whatever reason you're listening to us, it was still some of my favorite times of my childhood.
Yeah, he tells everybody they're failing because they most likely are. So
he's an honest man.
Yeah, he was very straightforward. Chad, you're failing.
All right, Mr. York. I'll keep doing my thing, I guess. All right, BroMob. Well, we got a lot to get into the show today. Be sure to follow along after the show by following us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Bros Podcast. Be sure to search the hashtag BroMob. And BroMob, if you haven't yet, go check out jointhebromob.com to check out it's our Patreon page. If you can go out there and do whatever you can to help support the podcast. It's just Brian and I doing our thing every single week, giving out our lush, beautiful content every week to you to fill your ears with this joyous, jazz-like, smooth as butter voice back and forth between me. I don't know how much you enjoy Brian's voice. To each their own, I guess. But everything that we do here, and also just everything that we do on the website, all of our start and sit information, all of our streamers, all of the KT3, everything, it's him and I. Go check out Join the BroMob today to become an official BroMobster and help support the podcast.
Yeah, Chad, and also before we get into today's show, real quick, BroMob, just want to let you guys know for bye week this week, we have Ravens Cowboys, and then also, so make sure you get all of your Lamar Jacksons and Mark Ingram's out of your lineup. Mari Cooper's Cowboys are on bye too, so get Mari Cooper out, get Dak Prescott out, Zeke Elliott, etc. They will not give you points this week. And then Thursday night's game is Redskins-Vikings, so make sure you have anybody on the Redskins or Vikings going this week in your lineup. Make sure you get them out of your flex spot.
All right, well, I'd say I'd start the segment off with some big news, but in all actuality, there's a bunch of big news. So I'm going to start it off with the biggest of news. Kerryon Johnson officially put on IR with knee surgery. This is kind of it's actually kind of out of left field here. They were not alluding to the fact that the knee injury was anything worse than a week-to-week type of thing. And it was just one of those, keep an eye on it. He probably wouldn't play this coming week, but it might be back next week type of conversation that was going on. But knee surgery and put on IR. I mean, Brian, is it worth saying that you can safely drop Kerryon Johnson now? I mean, is he going to come back in time for you to do anything with him?
No, his projected return is at the earliest, I believe, is week 16. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think he's droppable at this point. Go ahead and drop him. And then you don't want to, unless you have an IR spot that's open and you feel like maybe you want to fill it. But other than that, no, he's droppable.
Yeah, I agree there. On the flip side of that, though, Ty Johnson instantly becomes one of the top, if not the top, waiver ad this week. We didn't mention these names last week in our last episode, BroMob, but definitely some names that you should consider because there are some players that are in IR right now that are going to be coming off here fairly soon. Darius Geis being one of those guys. The Redskins look like they are committed to the run. He should be back by week 11. That's just in time for you to kind of get some extra oomph right before the playoffs there. And Darius Geis, good running back so long as you stay healthy. So go get him. Deshaun Jackson, another name that you should be considering to look at to bring onto your team. He should be coming back within the next week or two. So Ty Johnson here, he's right up there with those names. I mean, he's finds himself in a starting running back role. I don't see him getting used much in the passing game. We saw it with this previous game. He got a lot of the rushing attempts, whereas J.D. McKissic came in and got a lot of those passing attempts and was actually quite efficient with them. So another kind of like a deeper pick there, J.D. McKissic, if you can grab him just for some of those PPR leagues and some leagues like that, I'd consider picking him up too. All right, and then the next big piece of news here, Mohamed Sanu traded to the New England Patriots. I mean, come on, guys.
No,
we're gonna let them just keep getting better. What's happening? Manu Sanu. This is just ridiculous. However, I am gonna say, I think he's like second to last in the league in air yards right now. So he's essentially a slot receiver guy, which is weird to me because they got Julian Edelman there. So it's almost as if they're going with a complete shift in their playbook here. I wouldn't say complete shift, but this is kind of what New England does anyway. They change their playbook midseason and make themselves into a more unpredictable team. But I could see them going more 3-wide, 4-wide sets instead of the 2 tight end sets going forward. Bringing Sanu in, having him and Julian Edelman out there. N'Keal Harry coming back here soon, another name to think about off waivers there, coming back from IR. He goes out on the outside. I mean, this team's getting scarier and scarier by the minute.
Yeah, I think the Sanu trade, if you look at on the other side with the Falcons, I think it opens up the door for more targets to some of those wide receivers in Atlanta, and then also, and I'll talk about it later in the pod, but Austin Hooper is somebody that should see a big uptick here in targets and production. So some things to be thinking about as you're progressing through this week. You might want to, if you've got some of these players, definitely get them in your lineup.
It's crazy too because Austin Hooper's already been dominating targets, right? I mean, on that team. So for him to get even more, that just solidifies his tight end 1, top 5 tight end position already. So big news there. The next big news, Emmanuel Sanders, formerly with the Denver Broncos, traded to the San Francisco 49ers. And this is a big move for the 49ers. They were struggling at the wideout position. Dante Pettis wasn't kind of stepping up and being the player that they were hoping that he would be. And so they were really depending on players like Marquise Goodwin and Kendrick Bourne, which are really situational type of players, just really good at certain things, whereas Emmanuel Sanders kind of all around a good wide receiver and should slot in really nicely for this team.
Yeah, I really like the Sanders 49ers play. I think he's going to be a guy that Jimmy Garoppolo could really use and could have really used leading up to this. I mean, the 49ers are 5-1, or are they undefeated?
49ers are 6-0.
Yep, there you go. Good point. 49ers are 6-0, ladies and gentlemen, and that's without Emmanuel Sanders. So I think this is only going to make them better.
Yeah, agreed. And talking about teams getting better, Quandre Diggs formerly with the Detroit Lions, traded to the Seattle Seahawks. This is actually a surprising move. I did not expect the Lions to trade this. I mean, he's a really good safety. To trade him away to another team in the NFC, especially a contender like the Seahawks, it's a big move. They did get, I believe it was a 3rd and a 4th round pick for him, so it was some pretty good currency back for him, right? But this is a really big addition to the Seahawks team if they needed it, and I see him contributing right away. All right, BroMob, well, that's the news for today. Let's get right into our start and sits for the week.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological.
All right, BroMob, well, I am quadrupling down, I guess I'll call it here. Kirk Cousins versus the Redskins, Thursday Night Football. 4 weeks in a row, I'm calling for a quality start with Kirk Cousins, who has now posted more than 300 yards and a passer rating of 130 or better in the previous 3 weeks in a row. So, I mean, I don't anticipate another 130 passer rating. Again, that's pretty incredible if he does it 4 games in a row there, but I could definitely see 300 yards and possibly 2 touchdowns against his former team here to kind of do a statement game and to keep the Vikings rolling. It looks like this team is finally starting to pass the ball, like committing to passing the ball. It's not just that they're throwing the ball, it's that they're doing it smart and they're finding ways to run the ball in between all of these passes that they're doing. They're getting their receivers open in space pretty nicely there. So the offense is starting to open up. Team's starting to look better. I like Kirk Cousins this week against the Redskins.
Yeah, Chad, and my quarterback start this week is going to be Tom Brady. Tommy Salami.
Tommy Salami, what?
Yep, Tommy Salami. He's going to be at home going up against the Browns. And, look, the Browns are averaging 19.1 fantasy points to the quarterback this year. I think Tom Brady is going to definitely hit that line and then some. So I see him exceeding that average, and I don't think the Browns are going to be good this week. I have on both sides of the ball, and you'll see a theme as the show rolls on.
Yeah, I'm hoping for some Nick Chubb love there, but we'll if anybody's going to do well, it has to be him. So I'm fingers crossed there. Let's get into our sits for the week here, Brian, at the QB position. Detective Minshew. Minshew Mania is starting to slow down a little bit, but I still love the guy. He's still one of my favorite players in the league. But Gardner Minshew of the Jacksonville Jaguars going against the New York Jets. Listen, this New York Jets defense is sneaky good against the pass, and we saw that actually against Tom Brady on Monday Night Football. If they could just get anything going on offense other than what we saw against this Patriots defense on Monday, if they can get anything going, one score even, keep the clock kind of rolling, that defense isn't out there as long, it would have been a much better outing for them against the Patriots there. They were basically allowed multiple touchdowns to Sony Michel at the goal line because of field position just being terrible, turnovers killing them. I expect a much better week for them and a not so good week for Gardner Minshew. Keep him on your bench.
Yeah, absolutely. And my sits a really good quarterback. I just don't like the matchup this week. And
yeah,
I kind of saw this last week actually with Bridgewater, but he still had a pretty decent week. But that's Phillip Rivers. That offensive line is nerve-wracking to me. And then you put him in Chicago on the road against this Bears defense. I think Mac is going to have a Mac attack. Okay, so
he's going to have a Big Mac.
He's going to have a Big Mac with a side of mac and cheese. Yeah.
Big Mac. I mean, give me a Bernie Mac.
Yeah, Bernie Mac. So after being embarrassed last week against New Orleans at home off a bye, I think that defense comes out angry, and I don't want to play against an angry Bears defense. So I'm not touching Phillip Rivers with a stick this week.
Would you say that he's going to get embarrassed?
Ooh.
Let's get into our running backs.
Okay, so running backs, Chad, I'm gonna stay. Why was I saying I'm gonna stay? I'm not staying anything. All right, Chad. Running backs. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna roll out James Conner this week. My start going up against Miami. They're coming off a bye, and I think that a week for James Conner to get a little bit healthier, fresh legs, and then they go up against a Miami defense that has allowed a ton of points to the running back position this year. I see James Conner definitely in the paint this week, and probably 100 plus yards on the ground. So I think James Conner definitely in your starting lineups this week. Not that he's not already, probably. Yeah, as long as he's healthy, which I think he is.
Yeah, he should. I mean, it's looking like it's going up for him. But BroMob, even if he doesn't get 100 yards on the ground, I still see at least 100 scrimmage yards from him. He's going to get used all over the field, like we saw before the bye there. So I like that play too, Brian. But here you go, BroMob. My solid gold start of the week. Aaron Jones against the Chiefs. I hate saying it. Brian, you got him going against me in the league of record. Kudos to you because you got yourself a great start here. Listen, the Chiefs are without Patrick Mahomes this week with that knee injury, and I expect the Packers to take absolute control of the clock with Aaron Jones and even Jamal Williams running against this terrible defensive front here. I'm hoping for some Jamal Williams vultures in this game, but even with one vulture, Aaron Jones, I could still see getting 2 touchdowns in this game and having over 100-yard scrimmage on this game. So big game for him. Solid gold start of the week. Listen, the Chiefs had a good week this previous week against the Joe Flacco-led Denver Broncos. It's not happening again. Aaron Rodgers comes to town. Aaron Jones comes to town. Solid gold start of the week. Put him in.
Solid Jones.
It's Jones. It's Jones. It's
Jones. It's Jones. Jones the night girl. All right, Chad, my sit. Let's move into running back sits. And this one, I don't know if this is necessarily a sit as it is more of a, hey, temper your expectations. But Derrick Henry going up against the Panthers, Henry's going to see plenty of work. He's that workhorse guy. He's going to have 20 touches plus. It's likely that he has that. However, look, Derrick Henry going up against the Buccaneers this week, and look, the Buccaneers are giving up the fewest amount of rushing yards to running backs this season, and I don't see that changing this week. I think they're going to come to they're going to Tennessee, and so they're on the road. They're going to say, look, the one person we're not going to let beat us is Derrick Henry. We're going to stack that box, try to stop him, and let Ryan Tannehill beat us. If somebody's going to beat us, it's Ryan Tannehill. If I were a defensive coordinator, that's the way I would want to build my defense. So I try to think like I know my stuff, and so yeah, Derrick Henry, I'm listing him as a sit. It's more of a, hey, you're probably not going to sit him, but you should definitely temper your expectations.
Yeah, I like that, Brian. I actually foreshadow here. I mentioned him later in the show, so we'll get ready for that. My sit of the week, this is a regular name of mine, Leonard Fournette versus the Jets. Listen, I understand he's had some great weeks here. He's had over 20 carries in each of those games. I still see him getting over 20 carries in this game. The only problem is he's going against a pretty solid New York Jets defensive front here. If you watched the New England Patriots game, besides Sony Michel getting those 3 touchdowns just because they were awarded some great field position, outside of that, he didn't do much in the game. He had terrible rushing yardage off of his double-digit attempts as well, and that's because this defense is pretty strong against the run. Leonard Fournette, I could see getting 20 carries, maybe 22, ending the game with 75 yards on the ground, maybe another 20 in the air, and 0 touchdowns. It's just an ugly week for Fournette coming ahead. All right, Brian, we're going to get into our wide receivers now. My start of the week, it's Nightmare Tear, Scary Terry, whatever you want to call him, hashtag Nightmare Tear. Terry McLaurin going against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. I just watched Xavier Rhodes get absolutely scorched by Marvin Jones. Listen, Marvin Jones is a good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. But 4 touchdowns is insane for anybody to score against any professional athlete. I'm thinking that Rhodes is going to come into this game with a little bit, just not in the right headspace, right? Because this is a quick turnaround from that just absolute gouging that happened to him. Nightmare Tear continues to get into people's heads like Freddy Krueger, just giving him nightmares all over the place. He's slashing them up. He's crashing them up. He's getting a lot of touchdowns. He's going to have a great game on national TV.
Snipping them up with those snipping fingers.
Snippity snappity.
All right, so my wide receiver start is, and I love this start. Absolutely love this start, Chad. I can't stress it enough. If you're like me and you're one of the Pop It Lockett owners, pop it like it's hot, baby. Get Tyler Lockett in your lineup. He's going against the Falcons. Falcons have allowed the 4th most points to wide receivers this season, and I see Lockett in line for a huge game. No Disley anymore. Disley's out on IR now, so a lot more targets coming his way. I actually think, Chad, he could be in line for a double-digit touchdown game, which by the way, in your face.
You just say a double-digit touchdown game, so 10 touchdowns is what you're predicting for
Hold on.
him.
Rewind. Hold on. I meant a double touchdown game.
You are on the record for 10 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, put it on the board. He's calling it right now. All right. Well, that's.
Why stop there? Let's have 100.
If that happens to me again, Brian has Tyler Lockett in the league of record. If that happens against me, I'm quitting fantasy football. 10 touchdowns. 10 Lord. Yeah. All right, let's get into our sits here before this show gets out of hand. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, MVS, going against the Chiefs. He had himself a big week last week, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, not many people own this guy, but if you're considering him for flex play this week, pump the brakes a little bit. His game was propelled by 2 absolutely huge catches, and that's it. He just had those 2 catches, and one of them went for a touchdown. Don't expect this boomer bust wideout to repeat against this Kansas City Chiefs defense that is actually doing surprisingly well at keeping big plays down. You can credit that to the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, just finally getting into a rhythm, starting to stop players a whole bunch. I'm keeping MVS on the bench, and if he's on the waivers, I'm not even thinking about picking him up this week.
Yeah, Chad, I definitely like that pick. You know what else I like? So I don't know if you see me playing with this right now. Mm-hmm. You know what this is?
It's a football.
Yeah. This is what OBJ is not going to touch all game long. Okay.
I feel like that would have struck the audience much harder if they could see what you're doing. Yeah. However, because this is a podcast, there is no visual to what we are doing. What a genius.
So here's the deal. You don't need to see it. All you need to do is listen to it. That's what the sound of football makes. You throw it. So here's the deal. OBJ they're on the road against the Patriots. Bill Belichick's across the field, and he's looking at one dude, and that guy's OBJ, and he's going, not tonight, good sir. And so OBJ, I don't even know why you're going to show up. You should just stay home. Like I don't even think he's going to be blanketed all night long, which is why Chubb could actually have a decent game. Mm-hmm. By the way, but I still think Chubb, no way. I just think the Browns are going to be lucky to put 10 points on the board. So I see a long night. I'm staying away from OBJ. If you have OBJ, I understand it's hard to sit a guy like this, and I could be completely wrong. He might go off. Who knows? But given the fact that the Patriots defense is we've seen nothing like this before. We actually have, but I'm just going to go with it. So here's the deal. Don't play OBJ.
Coincidentally, Jarvis Landry might have a decent game. Those little dump-off passes that Baker Mayfield does because OBJ is not open. So Jarvis Landry could get 6 catches, 80 yards, have a decent flex play for you this week. But I agree, Brian. OBJ, that was one of my considerations as well for this week. Let's get into our tight ends here. Who you got starting, Brian?
So at tight end, Chad, we talked about it earlier. I liked him coming into the season. I drafted him in other leagues. So, but here's the thing. Austin Hooper, as good as he's been, he's going to get better now. No more Sanu. That's additional targets coming his way. And I think he's the one that sees the most benefit from the trade of Sanu, to be quite honest. So Austin Hooper, they're at home going up against the Seahawks. Matt Schaub comes into town or plays. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get it. Matt Schaub's throwing him the ball. And
Matt Ryan said, by the way.
No, Matt Schaub.
Is he actually not going to play?
Well, if Matt Ryan doesn't play, which could happen, Matt Schaub is the next guy up. So either way, Matt's going to play.
Either way, there's going to be a Matt. And at the end of the day, that Matt ain't doing well.
At the bottom line is Matt's going to throw Hooper the ball. Okay? Mm-hmm. And the targets are going up, and it's going to be a good day for Hooper. So get Hooper in your lineup. If you don't already, he should be in there. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree, Brian. That's a really good one. I actually think that another great start at the tight end position this week is Delanie Walker going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is terrible. Though they're great against the run, and I mean great, that's a really good rushing defense here. They're not so good in the air. They can't stop much in the passing game. Delanie Walker, I believe, gets a good game here, 80 yards, touchdown probably, and a decent outing for fantasy owners. He's had a couple of duds that's happened, and it's probably taking you off of him or making you less wanting of him in your lineup. Get him in there. He should do well for you.
Yeah, Chad. And then on the sit side of the ball, I see somebody that you picked, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I agree with it. Just going to put it out there. Okay. But I'm also going to recommend on the side of that, this is like the ketchup you get with your fries. Okay.
Ooh,
so
I love ketchup.
Zach Ertz against the Bills. So here's the deal. Zach Ertz has fallen off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened. I kind of do. Like part of it, it's this offensive line is terrible.
Yes.
And Wentz has no time to he's looking at Ertz every play. But defenses are going, nope, you're not. We're going to take him away from you. And then he's like a deer in headlights. So, I mean, Ertz has 1 touchdown on the season. The Bills are stingy against the tight ends position. So, I actually like Dallas Goedert in this game better than I like Ertz. Mm-hmm. So if you have Dallas Goedert out there, he started to emerge a bit. And so this might be the game you want to play him. I mean, if you're looking for some upside, I don't like either of them, to be quite honest with you this week. But if I'm going to pick one of the two, I actually like Dallas Goedert a lot better than I like Ertz this week.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of the Eagles games this year, Brian, and what I've noticed is what's happening with Ertz is that they are putting him more at the intermediate to deep routes. So like the 10 to 15 to 20-yard routes, that's what he's getting. And so when he gets out to that 10 or 15-yard line and he's doing his cuts, by that time, Carson Wentz is already getting either hit or pushed out of the pocket by a defender, and so he's never looking his way and he's never available for that throw. Dallas Goedert, on the other hand, is doing more of those 5-yard kind of out routes that are going on, and so you're kind of seeing Dallas Goedert get more and more involved in the offense because he's that option, that dump off, that safety valve that Carson Wentz wants. So I like what you got going on there, but let's go ahead and just give the BroMob their waffle fries here. You already said that was the ketchup. Here's the waffle fries for the week. Sit Greg Olsen against the 49ers. This defense is absolutely for real, man. They're just, if the New England Patriots are number one, I think this is a strong number 2 in the league. They get to the quarterback regularly. Their secondary is incredible, and their safeties are just as good as their corners, and so they stop everything that's going on. Greg Olsen, listen, Kyle Allen's going to be running for his life, and just like what I was just saying about Carson Wentz is that he's not going to have any time in this pocket, so he's not going to be able to really make his second or third read in his passes, and that usually is Greg Olsen territory. So because of that, I just don't see a lot of balls getting thrown his way, and if they are, they're going to be poorly thrown passes, possibly even picked off. I don't like Greg Olsen.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. As a matter of fact, like I said, I like this pick. When I saw it and you had him first, I was like, dang it. So it was a good pick. But I have a question for you. So you mentioned waffle fries. Rank these potatoes in order of greatest to least favorite. Waffle fries.
Okay.
Tater tots.
Ooh.
Okay. I know, right? The what are those thick potato slice things you get at like KFC?
Oh, like
potato wedges. Potato wedges. Okay. So potato wedges or hash browns. Breakfast hash browns.
Oh, you throw hash browns in there. Oh Lord. I'm going to go waffle fries. Number 1, I love waffle fries. They're just so good. So long as they're made right? They got to be crunchy. They got to be crisp, golden, beautiful. Solid gold, some might say. Wink, wink.
Yeah, imagine everything's perfect the way you'd want it.
Okay, so perfectly made, everything I want it. Waffle fries, hash browns, tater tots, wedges at the end.
Ooh, throw in a baked potato.
Oh, baked potato in front of the wedges. I love tater tots.
Ooh.
They're so good.
All right.
Tater tots are so
That's
good.
fair. I know. I'm with you. So, all right, Chad, let's wrap it up here with defenses. So my start at defense this week is the Pittsburgh Steelers, which arguably could be a streaming option also. I've got a different defense that I'm going to I actually got two defenses to stream this week. So a little foreshadowing, but I've got Steelers versus the Dolphins. Steelers are coming off a bye this week. Miami's coming to town. It's a great matchup. So if Steelers are out there on your waivers, add them, get them in your lineup. I think it's a great rollout this week. If you have them already, get them in your lineup.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Brian. And I'm also going with this is a good defense too. The Jaguars versus the Jets. If you've noticed, this is a kind of a common thread in all of my choices here, this Jags-Jets game. I'll be honest, BroMob, I would even start the Jets defense this week against the Jags. I just think it's going to be a strong defensive performance by both teams in this game. I can feel it in my bones, deep down in my bones, BroMob. Jags, Jets, either one, whichever one you want, I'd play both of them.
Yes, I'm with you on that. And then on the sit side of the ball, Chad, or the list rather, this one's tough for me. It was hard to find some sits. There's a lot of really good matchups this week. But this one is a little deeper, and I don't know that you're necessarily sitting this team, but I would again, this is one of those temper your expectations. So 49ers defense against the Panthers. And, it's arguably the 49ers defense has been the second best defense other than the Patriots this year. I mean, they've been lights out. Surprised the dickens out of me. I didn't see it coming, and then we kind of said, this defense is for real. And so they are for real. However, here's why I think you temper your expectations this week and maybe even sit them is I think the Panthers are going to put points on the board. And the 49ers still might have turnovers, and they still might get some sacks. But I think the Panthers are going to put enough points on the board to really make that play not as attractive. So that's really why I'm saying sit the 49ers.
Interesting take there, Cotton. Interesting take. But you've been pretty solid with those defensive plays, Brian, so I'll give it to you. I'm going to go ahead and BroMob, this one's going to sound like a no-brainer, but I'm sure there's going to be some people out there that are strapped for defenses. Do not take this one into consideration. The Browns versus the Patriots. It's a terrible matchup. Time of possession kills defenses, and nobody does it better than the New England Patriots. And quite frankly, nobody does it worse than the Cleveland Browns do. Because I've seen so many 3-and-outs with Baker Mayfield, so many dead drives happen that it just absolutely, because in all actuality, the Browns defense isn't bad. They're not a bad defense. They just been getting killed with time of possession. And the New England Patriots are just going to absolutely take advantage of all of that. So do not play them this week.
It reminded me of the Happy Gilmore thing where he's like, there's only one problem. You're not any good. Yeah, you know what? Well, you suck. I saw those finger paintings you bring home and they suck. That's the first thing I thought of when you did that.
I saw those finger paintings that you did and they suck. Oh, all right, BroMob. Well, that is our start and sits. If you want to check these out on paper and get a couple more of our start and sits at each position, go check out keytothetitle.com to get all of that information there. Let's move on.
Sleepers.
This week with our sleepers, I'll start it off here, BroMob. I've got Tyrell Williams. Oakland Raiders going up against the Houston Texans in Houston. This Texans defense just isn't any good at covering the pass, and the Raiders are going to be throwing the ball. I expect them to have to throw the ball to stay in this game. And because of that, players like Darren Waller and Tyrell Williams will both have good games. And I can guarantee you this defense is going to try and hone in on Darren Waller, especially after him having a huge game last week and absolutely erupting. Tyrell Williams, I expect to sneak into the end zone and get a touchdown this week. I'm calling it.
Not a bad play, Cotton. So here's the deal. My sleeper is J.D. McKissick, running back for the Detroit Lions. They're on the road against the Giants this week. We just saw what a backup running back could do to them. So Chase Edmonds just went berserko on them. And I know everyone's hot on Ty Johnson, almost said Ty Johnson. But if you looked at the Lions' usage of J.D. McKissick, He was used heavily in the passing game, and he was used largely as a change of pace back. For PPR, which is what we kind of advocate, half point PPR, I think he's got some sneaky value and some streaming ability in that flex spot this week. So if you're in a deeper league or you're looking for that bye week filler and you just don't have a lot of good options on your bench due to injuries and other buys, JD McKissic might be a really great flyer that could produce. I actually think he might get in the end zone this week, Chad.
Wow, interesting take. I personally like JD McKissic too, even without the end zone, right? I mean, if you are in PPR, half PPR here, he could have 5 catches or so to go along with 60 yards receiving, maybe another 20 or 30 on the ground that gets him right around the double digits, right? It's a solid flex play. Almost said sex play.
Yep. I mean, I think it's a solid sex play too. I don't know.
It's a pretty good one. I'm just gonna say. Let's move on to our bust, BroMob. Jesus.
Busts.
All right, bro. Yeah, that's a 5 there, Brian.
Yeah.
For my hotkeys. Don't make fun of it. All right, BroMob. Well, my bust of the week, and you might think that I'm crazy here. Maybe I am crazy. I don't know. I'm crazy most of the time. Michael Thomas versus the Arizona Cardinals. Listen, you might be looking at it and saying, "Hey, this is a poor defense, Chad. What are you doing? They can't cover the pass." Let me tell you what I'm doing. Patrick Peterson is back. All right, and he's one of the best cover corners in this game, still to this day. Yes, he might be rusty, sure, but a rusty Patrick Peterson is still better than most of the cornerbacks in the league. You can bet your behind that Patrick Peterson is going to be covering little Michael Thomas all day long. I don't like it.
Would you? I was gonna say I want to say this, but like it cracks me up. Would you say that? So Patrick Peterson's initials are PP. Would you say PP is going to be all over Michael Thomas? All right, moving on.
Just move on, please. Move on.
Yeah, my bust this week. One of my busts this week is, we talked about it earlier, Nick Chubb, and it's less of a bust, more of a temporary expectation. It's Patriots defense, guys. We've been talking about it all show. I don't want to start anybody against Patriots. They're too good. This defense is ridiculous. I think if anybody figures out how to basically pound Nick Chubb into a wall to where he goes nowhere and take away OBJ, it's the Bill Belichick across the aisle smiling awkwardly at.
Did you see him
Freddie
smiling?
Yes. I loved it. It cracked me up.
It was hilarious.
So they get the delay a game. They decline it, and then he has them purposely false start, decline it, and then he just starts smiling. And part of me was like, what if he just trotted the offense back on the field and then went for it? Fourth down just to drill it to. But he did the right thing. He punted it. But it was hilarious.
I just imagined him going, "Well done, Iguado," just smiling back.
Yes. 33 to
all
nothing.
right. Well, my next bust here, BroMob. We mentioned him earlier in the show. Brian called him a sit. I don't necessarily think he's a sit, but I do think he is a temper your expectations because he's going up against a good defense. Derrick Henry against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I understand he's getting a huge amount of carries in recent weeks, and I don't see that changing. I still see him getting a lot of carries in this game, but this defense being number 1 in yardage allowed, number 1 being the best. And to be the best, you have to pass the test, Brian. Just by the way, I don't expect him to find the end zone in this game. So because of that, I'm staying away from Derrick Henry if I can. If I can't, I'm tempering expectations and I'm throwing somebody in there that can at least get me a boom type of game out of this week.
A little Ric Flair. To be the best, woo! You got to beat the best.
Woo!
Woo! All right, my other bust, so to speak, this week is not necessarily a bust. I mean, again, these guys, when we say bust, it means we're just saying temporary expectations. These are big names that could have poor games because of the matchup. So Mike Evans going against the Titans, and again, they're on the road. They're in Tennessee. This Titans secondary is legit. Okay, and so I actually think this game favors Godwin a little bit more. So if you're gonna, if I don't know if you happen to have them both and you have to start one, I would start Godwin actually over Evans this week. But I think Evans, again, temper your expectations. I get it; they're coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to plan for this game, so it's unlikely Evans has a complete flop of a game. I mean, if he has an egg like he did a couple weeks ago, I'd be blown away. But so he's going to have targets. He's going to be involved in the game. But I would just temper your expectations because it might be a long night for him.
Yeah, I hope so. I certainly hope so. But I see
bet you
that you're
do.
not doing favoritism, Brian. You had Nick Chubb on there. I thought you were just doing it because I'm playing you in League of Record. You're like, I hope Nick Chubb doesn't play good. But good job putting Mike Evans in there and at least evening it out. So well done, Iguado. I'm smiling at you like Bill Belichick right now. Let's get into our streamers.
This week's streamers.
All right, BroMob, let's start it.
I was gonna say I'm gonna play some defense on you by putting out my own my own PP against you.
No,
Patrick
don't.
Peterson.
Okay, we're gonna stop that. I was just gonna... terrible. All right, BroMob, let's get right into our quarterbacks here. Stream of the week at the quarterback position, Ryan Tannehill. I'm going ahead and saying it. Going up against the Bucks, they won't have much of a rushing game going on here, so they're gonna have to pass. He's only rostered in 2.3% of fantasy leagues right now, and you know what? He had a decent week last week against the Chargers. 312 yards on 23 of 29 passing, 2 touchdowns, and I could see similar numbers going out. Another 300 yards and then possibly another 2 touchdowns. I think it's a solid stream play for you this week.
All right, Chad. So my stream of this week for quarterback, it's not just any stream. Okay, it's not some Joe Schmo, Schmuckerson type stream. Okay, it's not some joke stream.
No PP stream.
Right? This is high quality PP. All right. This is my rock solid, gold plated, diamond crested, for God's sakes, stream of the week. And honestly, I was shocked when I didn't see him on your list. I was really floored. I'm going to be honest with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, is at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Get your Teddies out, all right? Start playing with them. This is going to be a fun game to watch, actually. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm going to shift to a real more serious conversation. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. I see a lot of passing yards in this game on both sides of the ball. I think also on the other side, you've got Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a good game too. So, but look, I'm projecting Teddy Bridgewater to have a 300-plus yard game. I think he has 2 tutties on the day. Minimum. Okay? Minimum 2 PPs. So start him.
Not only startable, but also frightening? Question mark? Just terrifying?
Yep.
All right, let's get into our tight. This show is just an absolute crapshoot so far. Tight end, let's get into that. We got TJ Hawkinson going against the Giants. Terrible defense. No more Kerryon Johnson. I expect this defense to hone in on Marvin Jones and the wide receivers because they just had a massive week this past week. TJ Hawkinson, listen, he's getting targets in the red zone. It's just they're not connecting. I expect some connections to happen this week between him and Stafford. It's going to look good. TJ Hawkinson worth a play this week. I like him.
The Hawk. All right. So my tight end stream this week is I actually couldn't believe it. When I was looking online, Chad, I was doing my diligence and
no due diligence.
Like, oh,
you were doing the diligence.
No, just diligence. And so there's no due. I mean,
there's no doo-doo here.
There's no doo-doo.
No doo-doo right. With the PP, all right?
No, there's no doo-doo. Definitely no PP here, all right? This is straight diligence. Kyle Rudolph going against the Washington Redskins. They're at home. And look, Adam Thielen's out. As soon as Adam Thielen went out in that game, his Kyle Rudolph, his usage went up. His targets went up. And he had his first touchdown of the season. So he's only 17.9% owned. He's been kind of a flop this year up until this point. I think he's a great streamer this week. And actually, while Adam Thielen's out, I think he might actually be a serviceable tight end. So he might be somebody you want to add for the next couple weeks. But for this week specifically, going up against the terrible, terrible Redskins at home, they're in the dome. I think Rudolph's a great play.
Yeah, when you saw Adam Thielen go down, a lot of those receivers and tight ends that get up those catches in the middle of the field, BC Johnson, the rookie there, And even Irv Smith, the rookie tight end, all three of those guys started getting used a little bit more in the passing game. If anything stops Kyle Rudolph from having a good game, I think it's Irv Smith getting used a little bit more at the tight end position as well. But I like it too, Brian. Kyle Rudolph, sneaky play this week. Let's get into our defenses to finish the show up here. Seahawks defense looks, I said to sit them last week. I'm saying to start them this week, especially if Matt Schaub's playing. Definitely start them. But even if Matt Ryan isn't there, no matter what Matt is playing, we already said it here, Matt's playing. You start the Seahawks defense. Quadre Diggs is going to have himself a big game. He's going to get his wets, plural, his toes wet in this game right away. Possibly even get an interception right off the bat. But I like this matchup. I like the Seahawks going against the Falcons, who have a lot of propensity for turnovers and for big-time turnovers, things that go back for touchdowns. And I see Russell Wilson playing a little angry in this game. He threw that pick six last week. They walked away with a loss. I see the Seahawks bringing out an angry win, and the defense kind of stepping it up because of that.
Yeah. Chad, so I think I spoiled this earlier. I've got two streaming defenses this week. One is it's less likely they're still out there. They're owned in 61.9% of ESPN leagues. So that means they're available in 39% of leagues, 38.1 to be precise. Math. Titans defense against the Bucks. We just talked about this earlier. Titans defense, that secondary is for real. They're at home. The Bucks are coming to town. Winston, I think, is going to have a rough game. And so for that reason, I really like the Titans. But if in the event the Titans aren't out there, again, the Steelers earlier, that they're actually less owned than the Titans, Chad. So the Steelers are probably, yeah, I know, right? So the Steelers are probably out there. So you might want to go get them. But if by chance neither of them are available, a really deep stream this week are the Lions defense against the Giants. Again, the Lions are at home. They're playing the Giants, and you got a rookie quarterback. He's thrown a lot. He's been turning the ball over a lot lately, Chad.
Yes.
And so this Lions defense, I mean, I really could see them having a pretty decent game for the first time this season, really. I mean, I think they've had one good game, actually, so maybe the second time. So I like this matchup. And if you look at the Lions matchups, they really haven't been a great fantasy defense this year, but look at the teams they've played. Green Bay, they've played Minnesota twice. They've played, Kansas City. So, I mean, they've had a lot of really tough quarterbacks to play, So I don't think it's the talent. I think it's more of, I'm sorry, they didn't play Minnesota twice. They played them for the first time this past week. That's what I meant. And so you've had some really tough quarterbacks to go up. Carson Wentz, before the line was a mess. So they've been giving up a lot of points to really good quarterbacks. And so that's been kind of the theme here. Here comes a rookie. So this is a good opportunity for them to get some decent points on the board.
Good point, Brian. All right, BroMob, that's going to do it for this week's shows. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday and Wednesday to stay up to date on the fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football leagues.
Yeah, BroMob. And also, if you haven't already, get over to keytothetitle.com, create a free account, absolutely free. You're going to have to create a login. It's a password protected area, but that's where we keep all of our picks, our sleepers, our busts, weather reports. Here coming out this week, we're going to have a strength of schedule in there. So all kinds of good stuff. You want to get on there, keytothetitle.com, to help you make that last push into the playoffs this year.
If you're not on Apple Podcast and you're listening to us elsewhere, that doesn't play nicely with your car. Whenever you're driving, you want to listen to us on your commute. We're also on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. Pretty much everywhere out there, BroMob, you can find us. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Bros Podcast, and be sure to check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of articles, rankings, and so much more, BroMob. See you next week.
Bye, everybody. Get those dubs.